to be our last video of the leg that we're going to cover. We're going to cover anterior and posterior muscles. Just note that unlike your arm or your forearm, the extensors aren't going to be posterior, they're going to be anterior in the leg. And then the flexors that were anterior are now going to be posterior within the leg. This big muscle here I'm going to point out first, just so we can get it out of the way. It's going to be called the Gastrocnemius muscle. It's going to be the largest muscle in your calf, and you're going to use this muscle later in BIOS1910 to be able to study action potentials. It's actually a really cool experiment. Highly recommend taking lots of good notes during that lab. Deep to that muscle, we've got the soleus muscle, which you can see from the sides, and then if you take this off, you can see it here as well. Okay, that's going to be deep to the gastrocnemius muscle. Just note that right here we have the calcaneal tendon, which I just took off, also known as the Achilles tendon. So next we're going to cover these muscles as we go around, starting with the tibia. I like to start with structures that we know, and so this is a really great structure that you can see on the lower leg. The first muscle we're going to see is going to be Tibialis Anterior. It's going to face lateral to the tibia. Okay, Tibialis Anterior. The next two muscles we're going to cover are two extensors, Extensor Digitorum Longus and Extensor Pollicis Longus. This one's going to be really hard to see, but you can see it, and then Extensor Digitorum Longus. Extensor Pollicis Longus is going to help extend the big toe, which is known as hallux. The next one we're going to cover is really easy. We call this Fibularis Longus. So this is Fibularis Longus, and as the fibers change, they become Fibularis brevis. As we flip to this posterior end, we're going to note that we can now see the fibula bone. Okay, fibula bone right here. And connected to that bone is a flexor, because we're on the posterior end. We call this Flexor Pollicis Longus. Okay, Flexor Pollicis Longus. Connected right to the fibula, and then you know it's going to go into the toe because of the name hallucis. Up here we've got two structures, or two muscles, one that sits on top of the other one. So this muscle is deep. We call this Tibialis Posterior. Tibialis Posterior. Here we've got one that kind of goes over the entire back part of the leg, which is known as the popliteal region, and that's going to be the popliteus muscle. And then the last muscle we're going to cover that's going to be medial to the tibia bone is your Flexor Digitorum Longus. So we had Extensor Digitorum Longus in the front, but now we have Flexor Digitorum Longus. I'll do a separate video to cover all of these a little bit quicker so you can have a nice little review. But those are the muscles of the leg, and good luck on your test.